a big couch.
We can stack 2 chairs for him to be a bit higher.
Yes.
Yeah, I suggested that. And give her a stool next time. So she can spin on it.
So I think we should at least start with introductions, because we might be goofballs, but do they know which goofballs we are?
Says it right there?
Yes, the answer is yes.
So you might have seen yesterday I presented Brightest in the Thunderclouds. I am interior director slash writer slash animator slash editor slash pretty much all the tasks that were not related to audio. I've been working, I've been in fandom since 2013. I'm a Toon Boom Harmony slash editor animator. And this is me.
Hello, I'm Vincent Visions. I'm a 3D animator. I've been doing animations in the fandom since 2012. Yesterday I premiered my animation right after his. I will actually be showing it again today because it relates to the slide that I'm talking about. So for those that missed it yesterday, we'll get to see it today. I'm also director, writer, animator. I'm pretty much like I wear multiple hats as well. And it's exhausting, but well worth the things if you can put work out to make great stuff. But anyways, that's my introduction.
Hello, I'm Sapphire Sistering, and I do the audio for Brightest in the Clouds. And I usually say that I'm part of Dimensional Shift for Valiant Studios at the Pony game, but we're not talking about that today, so I'm just going to say that I'm an animator.
I am Paramare. I have been an animator in the fandom since 2014, but I started out as source filmmaker, and then just wanted to leap into 2D animation, so I've been working with Toon Boom Harmony to learn all that. I still think I'm learning. I'm not, I'm a novice, I would say, but
He's lying.
I'm getting better. I am getting better. Like, I can't look at my old stuff with a straight face. Makes me sad. None of you called me out how bad I was, so.
Because you were bad.
Hi, I'm Silver Screen. I'm the writer-director of the Fallout Equestria animated series. I myself am not an artist or an animator, so I don't know how I became the writer-director of an animated series, but here we are.
Because you're writing.
Well, right, it's important. Yes.
Yeah, and that's what we'll be talking about today, right? So,
Hello, I'm Shadow007. I am a voice actress. I'm also a writer myself, as I am a creator and director of my How the My Little Pony series. How it should have been my series for My Little Pony. So, and I've worked on many of these cool projects here, and I've been a voice actress for about 12 years now.
Hello, I'm Hank. Hello, IABG Studios. I am an animator, story artist, and writer. And I'm the main animator for Shadows and My Little Pony College Embedded series. I've also been doing my own animated shorts with a few pony projects, and I'm also director of a secret project that's codenamed Project Paradise, which you'll get to see a few concept art for our presentation we'll be discussing soon about drawing, animating, and so on.
Let's get started. It's your turn.
Your turn.
Hey, I'm first. All right. And this is I'm a Clip Studio animator, hand-drawn animator, story artist, Mr. Rare. Now, the topic that I'll be discussing is one of the first things about being an artist is learning to draw consistently. Okay? If you want to become an animator or a comic artist or just do art in general, you should at least practice a bit on getting your art style out and keep it accurate as much as you can. So drawing consistently is like you can do like warm-ups such as live drawing, You don't have to make it very detailed, just keep it loose. Learn how to show some flexibility on your character models. There are a lot of tutorials you can learn from many artists on YouTube on how anatomy works, how proportions work, and more importantly, it's a lot of muscle memory you have to learn. It can be painful, but if you keep drawing the same, like different poses, and sometimes like at least one pose, draw like 3 to 5 times, eventually your brain's gonna keep up with your progress, and you'll see some huge differences as you get better next page. Yeah. So basically, that's grass. And to be more, in no disrespect. And to be more specific, you can schedule yourself to go outside because light drawing is honestly therapeutic. I've done it a lot when I go out and doing writing at cafe store, and sometimes I like to go out and draw people, just look around. You don't have to feel awkward about it. You can even ask them if they want, and it's okay to draw them while they're just doing their own thing. And then also, don't burn yourself out. More importantly, I wouldn't say practice every day. No, you schedule yourself like a certain number, like an hour or so, and just do like loose drawings, rough sketches, and use model sheets for reference. And you can even draw animals too, because ponies obviously, if you want to keep drawing ponies. The next page is super important. Yeah, character designs. If you have like an OC or a character in yours, you can use a character design which could help you figure out every single angle of your character and how it will look like when you start animating or doing comics. For example, that's my OC. This is Gardenia for my Project Paradise series that's in the works, and keep going. And when you start getting character model sheets, the first thing you can do is just break down your model in shapes different forms, cubes, circles, cylinders, any kind. And what I did when I wanted to practice more anime art, I was using stuff from my favorite anime. And I used the reference, traced over it with shape breakdowns, and I started drawing by myself, by reference, to make sure I had the art style accurate as possible. Like a lot of studios need to make sure your art style is on model. Like it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but it should be at least 90 to 100%. So anywhere in between, it's passable. And just make sure it doesn't look too off model or too out of style, but keep it presentable. And that's what I did. And these are super helpful too. Like if you can do turnarounds too. There are some animators you can find who leave out templates that can help you use those shapes and draw different angles of your model sheets. Next page. It's tough. It is tough to get your art style out and be as consistent as you can with your artwork. But it's also very bad when studios start going through crunch time, and then you start seeing a lot of pop model in the final production. I remember One Piece had a lot of bad animation in the earlier years until they finally stopped crunch time. I don't know if you're still doing that, but yeah, if you're not progressing as much as you can, treat it as a motivation. Don't make it feel like it's a discouragement that you're not doing a great job. You are doing it. Just keep at it and be consistent as much as you can, and do it by schedule. Don't do it like every day all the time. And also the best motivation you can do is compare your art progress from older years to in your current style. Like Glass of Nanu's, that's my routine. I drew her back in like a more Disney-esque look 2 years ago, and now about a year ago, I made her more anime look. And that will be the vision that I always want to do for my upcoming projects. Yeah, compare your artwork, and it shows that you are progressing so much. Be proud of yourself. And here's the final project. Oh, it's not playing.
Oh, anybody else has a hotspot?
Oh, hotspot.
Because on whatever network I am right now, I got like 1 bar of signal.
Anyone got a hotspot?
AT&T.
All right.
AT&T, let's go. All right, it's called SAS. I got bars if I could give a hotspots for you. I've got good bars in here too.
Maybe go back and do this.
There we go. And okay, good. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to restart the slideshow.
That's okay.
That's fine.
Do it all again.
All right.
Starting over.
Oh, that's spoilers.
It's still spoiled. Showing behind the scenes that you're not supposed to say ever.
And Google Slides.
We can't afford PowerPoint.
Well, we can. It's just that we know that we have better things to do. Let's see. Is it gonna play?
Please work. Please work.
There we go.
Oh, fingers crossed. It's only 30 seconds, so it should be enough to buffer.
Good thing we got you.
Here we go. Stay tuned for more. That's a work in progress.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Very good moonlight. I love it. Right? That's the end of the presentation.
Who's not a bear nor a bear?
But if you did that.
Alright, hello. My part is mostly going to be about how to not hate yourself while you're doing this. Because like any other, like a lot of other, things in life, if you do work on it too hard or stuff like that, you might end up resenting it, and you probably don't want to resent what you want to do, I guess. So yeah, here we go. Alright. While working, you want to try to be in a good environment, like comfortable, like while you're working, because I can't do that while I work because my room does not have very good air conditioning. Plus, my computer is like right there, and it's like blaring heat into me while I'm doing it. So I get really hot while I'm working. That really makes me just not want to work. I'll end up being like, maybe if I go downstairs, I can be on the couch and be more nice and cool. But so yeah. Also, this is a good little tip. If you have an ability, not all of us do have this ability to have like a separate work area where you want to like do your animations from where your like chill or gaming space is. That's a good idea because then you won't get distracted by anything. Because yeah, like again, I don't have this luxury, though I know I need to. So I'll sometimes just be animating, I'll be like, maybe just like one more dungeon in World of Warcraft, you know, before I keep going.
Just one. Just one.
So yeah, try to do that. And also, if anyone in your career can add on to any of this, feel free.
Next slide. Yeah.
Okay, so I like to play some sort of like light music, like maybe some like classic like Frank Sinatra or something in the background while I'm working. Though some people like complete silence, like they can't work while there's any sound in the background. And there are some freaks out there that listen to like podcasts and stuff while they're trying to work.
Guilty.
I've done that. Guilty. Yeah, guilty.
I can't listen to voices and people talking while I'm working. I can't figure it out. Especially when I'm lip syncing, actually. If I'm lip syncing, no sound can be anywhere, because I need to like pay attention to like the lip sync and how to like do it properly with the sound.
Why do you think I have so many scenes of characters just staring at stuff and not talking?
Okay, well, you get to do that. I mean, I have to make all the voices afterwards, so I get to suffer the same way.
Yeah, now I feel like a jerk.
Yeah, so just listen to whatever you feel comfortable with while you're doing, whatever makes you feel like you're more productive. Oh! And then look how beautiful that OC is, right? That's a gorgeous pony. If I look at myself and then look at that, I could feel down on myself because my OC looks like right? But it's okay because I know I'm special in my own different ways. I don't need a pretty mane or anything. AKA, I don't need to, be a professional like Ricky yet because, we're all unique and different and we learn at our own time.
Life journeys and goals.
Life journeys, yes. So don't overly look at yourself. I think I have another slide that goes with this, but yeah. You want to measure yourself more than you measure against someone like Minty over here.
Okay, who's the tallest?
Who's the tallest? That's a tallest.
Oh, yeah.
He's taller.
That means I should have your girl, right? But yeah, just like a little bit of EG said is like just compare like what you did. Like that was my first 2D animation video. If anyone's ever seen that one, I don't like to see it because like what happened to my drawing? Like I think I've improved in drawing a little bit since then and animation. So just compare yourself, but also don't be afraid to compare. Like look at someone like Minty's videos. Like I'll look at Minty's animations and I'll compare like, oh, what do I think that he did in this shot or this part of his animation? Like, oh, maybe I could try that or.
The secret is I don't know either.
I guess we'll grow in our not knowledge of what we're doing. So, we lose motivation a lot, and sometimes we just don't want to work or animate at all. And this is a few things of maybe how to help that.
I don't know, I was just looking at the Applejack one and thinking like, oh, you mean drawing?
Yeah, that's me a lot of the time. Alright, this is a big one for me is something that helps me want to animate and want to work on stuff is by watching like other cartoons or shows. And I can say like, oh, this is an actual like professional finished product that a lot of people end up thinking really good. Okay, so there's a lot of great animation and great, like I look at that and I'm like, I could probably do that eventually, maybe.
Let's say not even just animation, but also for like writing.
Yeah, a lot of good crazy stuff in there. But yeah, that's just, it helps motivate me to actually want to work. Okay, this is not only something that's fun for me, but also useful is I like to skim back and forth between the timeline of my animation. Because it's fun because it's, you get to hear the character's voice sound really funny when they go backwards and forwards. And And you can actually like catch small details like of things you want to change, like oh maybe the main like move a little bit while this part happens, or maybe you'll catch like an error you didn't see going back and forth. But yeah, it's just a lot of it's like scanning like a little fidget toy or something for me when I'm working.
I can't believe you're an Apple Dash shipper.
That's not me. That was for Prince whatever.
Okay, so you're a Randy Jack shipper.
I'll ship whoever you want. Don't hurt me. Alright. So maybe try something a bit new. If you're like too down like a difficult project or something, you're like, oh, maybe I need to take a break from this big difficult project and don't want to be sad or mad anymore on top of this big project. So maybe you can start like a new project and go, oh, I'm going to make a small, very different thing. So I'm making a small, very different thing, not even doing a pony thing anymore. And it's a good way to like step away from whatever is making you like non-motivated. And maybe you'll get some motivation doing a different project or something. Okay, discipline trumps motivation. So I like to set certain times for myself where I'll be like, I only want to work like 4 or 5 hours this day animating. Like I don't want to go over or under. I'll have like 2 hours while friends at work to animate, put it down, go do something else, come back later, 2 or 3 more hours later. So that way I'm not burning myself out from just not having any time schedule at all. Also, yeah, try something new. Just, all those like weird like nodes and other. Minty probably knows all of them.
I never use that one tab. I go to the node editor and I select by the list because those examples are just weird.
Yeah, I just type in what I want because I'm sure maybe I should be practicing some of those and learning what they do, but that's future me's problem. Set expectations. Don't like start on like something really huge when you know you probably don't have the time or the willpower to do so.
That's what I did. I got myself in trouble with that.
Oh, what kind of trouble?
Well, back in 2014, I thought, what if I did a whole 20-minute long episode by myself in the summer? It showed that I was just the only one doing it.
No. How would it help you?
Oh, right. You started 2014.
Well, source filmmaker. I don't know.
Next media. Yeah. So let's talk about advanced character readings. I'm Interior, the movie guy. All my cool stuff is over NDA. So here's the complexity of one of my pony rigs. This is how it looks like when you come to Boom. This is a monograph.
Whoa!
Oh my god.
I'm not near that arena.
And let's be real. That's not even the full view. There's like a little subgroups that you have to go through, explain some of the things. So lesson number 1. The point of a rig is to make your life easier, not harder. And that's the easy version. Planning a rig, because the whole thing is that when you start a project, you have to think of all the things you have to care about. So what kind of elements should be prioritized? So I wanted the ability to do some lighting, just a very small element. And with some of the flash rigs, I always struggle in trying to get it right. It will always look like it was clean. I wanted to be able to play with the 3D space. One of the key reasons is that I also wanted to have very subtle camera movements, which you can't really do in 2D. And I still want the appeal of 2D animation, because some people kept telling me, like, why did you try SFM, why did you try doing it in 3D? And at the time when I started, all the 3D models that we had, they had a weird sheen to them, because the way that they handled the shading, and I was thinking, like, I don't want to have that look, I want something that was more unique. So here's a little illustration of how I started to Toonboom, and just to give you a good idea, there's a lot of R&D, and I might have done the video a bit dramatically, because the whole idea is that I was used to working Flash, and Flash is pretty bad. Since back in 2018, I did that video, so I had to cut a lot of loading time because it was still on spinning a hard drive. So the whole idea is that the hand assembly is done in 3D space with 2D pieces. The blanks are done with deformers and masking. And then you can see that how that's starting to be done assembly. Some good examples of how you can actually twist the head very slowly. And then you have that line filler in the actual element they have. The lip sync that was dropped before I realized I could use deformers like this. And then you can actually follow how the former is connected to the muscle piece, so it actually follows when they're talking. And you can see the rotation. And then you have the whole combine node that combines all the layers. So you can move the eyes with it's connected to the eye assembly. You can rotate the head. It doesn't rotate the eyes, and it was a feature that I added to add characters to keep tracking things. And then you have the lip sync that's always set. You can rotate it and change the characters. You have eye gates, inverse kinematics, where you basically tell the hand position of the hoof, and it follows along. Those are deformer drones. They're not perfect, but if you want to have legs that are slightly curved, it works well. And then you have the deformer for the neck. This is a feature that I got rid of, but it's used to be a normal map shading. So you can actually have a light source that will flow around the character. And the light source just slightly bigger approach. Going to do some more. And I did have a lot of help from other 2 leaders for that. So here's how the node graphics is spread. Again, the hand at the top is basically all the assembly for the head, the ears, the mouth, the eyes. The main is separate because if I have to change a character, I can actually just get rid of the main assembly and then put it into one. There's a front of the body and there's a profile body. Whenever I turn, I actually switch between the two because it would just be easier to have 2 separate assemblies. Shadow caster is a new feature where it's basically just taking the rig, switching it on the side, and making it black. And all it does is you can actually project shadows in the ground. And since to move deviates in 3D space, the shadow actually lines up with where the hoofs line up instead of because one of the problems I've seen in a lot of shows whenever you have shadows and reflections, some of the lights wouldn't actually line up just because of the way they're projected. And AOVs, it stands for arbitrary output variables. Since I do them separately, for example, if I want to extract the eyes or the outline, the AOV basically gives me the layout that has those marks. And it's very helpful if I want to shine on the eye to actually have the effect of the shading of the character. And if I want, for example, a specific effect just on the outline, I can just extract that. So it's laid like that. It just goes from top to bottom until you see at the very bottom output for the ring. So how to avoid stiff legs? If you've used Body Creator before, you probably noticed that your legs that you have feel a bit stiff. It really feels like those action figures with joints. And you don't really want to have that as part of the character because it feels stiff, it doesn't feel it doesn't feel enjoyable. So I thought for a while, it turns out the solution that was the easiest was the dumbest. You just have multiple layers. So you have the 2-point deformer, you have the 3-point deformer, you have one in the mouth, you have an IK with a repaint leg, and you have the one that just goes come on like this. And I have a way to actually switch between them during the animation. So if I need one for one part of the animation, the character does something, and then I have to switch and just switch it with the animation. The rig like that will take notes, and The main reasoning is, for example, if you have a say you have a character who's standing and you want to have just going with the body, just showing strength, and you really just have the chest popping out. And I just want the chest popping out and I want the legs following. That way the legs don't follow and actually feel like it's following the same thing. But what if I want a character who's looking nice and I want the legs not to follow? I can do that too. And it's just with another switch, and of course I can switch between the two during the animation. It comes down to the idea of breaking the rig. The saying I would go with is break your rig before the rig breaks you, because the rig might have some of its own problems. You might have not have encounters during the animation. You might have to change pieces, relayer things. And it's a thing that I don't want to blame double move for that. A lot of people started referring when they started sharing your assets to as puppet movies. And when you think of a puppet, you think of something made with some pieces that are not supposed to take out of their sockets. And you want to break the rig to actually pull the hose that you have. For example, if you want to relayer the leg, you have a leg that's supposed to be at the back, but that layer in front of it for him because she's bending like that. So you're going to have to go back in your nose graft and actually plug things differently for that purpose of that one shot. If you want to do a fairly fancy turnaround, for example, you're going to have to break a lot of things just to make sure they line up. So there was a whole assembly just for the ear to just be layered properly. The hair was also done with deformers that I had to tweak alone. Lots of shape tweaks. And of course, it's not just a toon boom. If you were to do it in the Flash, you also have to do the same thing. In a specific case, instead of shape tweaks with shape hints, you basically take a shape and you deform it from one shape to the other, and then you tell it how to tweak between the two by giving points. And it's very, very weird because the way that Flash handles it, you need to also put those points in a specific order or it freaks out. Of course, if you go back to Toon Boom, you can actually rig lots of things. The main is done by different pieces, and since the outline and the fill are separate, you can actually make sure that it gets a closed shape by just extracting the outline from the fill and then layering them together back. So the main actually feels like just one solid piece where the different strands are actually going along with. For the wings, I didn't do that because the shape of the wings and the feathers they usually have that need. But the idea of those parts of the wing actually going in their own motion to make it feel like there's wind actually made it more. It actually made it feel more like wind. And it's also very helpful because I had to bring the rig to actually get that pose, and that worked great for that one shot. Also, don't overdo a rig. Back in the Kids Destiny, I had one sequence where I had to show Celestial, and it turned out that it was just this shot. So the rig consisted of her head, her mane, and that's pretty much it. There was no need to actually build a body because you wouldn't see a body, so I ended up doing it. And of course, so this is an example for a proof of concept I'm currently working on. And this is a demonstration of when I was talking about the idea of combining 2D characters with 3D backgrounds. But there's also a demonstration technique that I found is very appropriate right now, right here. It's called an animated, it's a Texas switch. You would see that a lot in live action because whenever you have a scene where a stuntsman is supposed to perform something crazy, but within the same shot, you're also supposed to see the actor. They might find very clever ways to switch between the two. For example, you might have the stuntman hiding between the pillar, and then you have the actor running, and then you switch back to the stuntman right away. Or you might have a stunt where a stuntman fall into a pile of debris, and then have the actor just behind that just comes out. And that's what I did with this one. Turns out that actually having a separate recording key with those two angles was a lot easier than trying to figure a way to actually transition between the two, because I had actually done on the frame, and it actually worked great. You don't really see it. They do that a lot in animated movies, actually. And it actually works great. So let's start now with
Yeah. Hello. Today I will be talking about visual storytelling with characters and.
hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, so I primarily was a 3D drawing artist. That's why I do a lot of visual storytelling. That's my specialty. I work a bit at SFM. I work in Wonder. And yes, I do not have an audio C. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Interchangeable. Now, before we get into the actual slides, since we have time, I figured I might as well go ahead and show my 7-minute preview I showed yesterday. Because it's a test screen, the animation's not done yet, but here you'll get to see it. And then the animation will help inform you all what we're going to talk about in actuality. So, yeah, animation. Can we turn off the lights?
In the front. Oh. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
You're the one, man.
I'm sorry. You're done with this project? Alright. Whatever dirty games these homies are playing, I'm really gonna turn over their bubble.
We can get the lights back on. Thank you. So yeah, that's only the first 7 minutes. The animation's not done yet, but it is a good representation of what we talked about, which is the visual storytelling process. So for this project, I had to really consider how Sonata is shown in this story. Because she's alone, and the animation is geared towards environmental storytelling, I didn't want Sonata to speak very much or have or have inner monologue. For immersion, I realized the story would work better with atmospheric expressions, not direct music or dialogue. So my solution was to express to the viewers how Sonata is feeling through her body language and her expressions. And I'm actually going to skip this slide because I was originally going to show just 2 minutes, but since we've already seen the animation, I can skip past that. There we go. So, what is she feeling?
Confusion, anxiety, fear.
In the very first shot, Sonata has just been yanked into existence by a portal. As such, it was obvious to show Sonata's panic state to sell the moment. Hyperventilating, with her chest, terrified expressions. As a bonus, Starry Flames, that was the for Sonata, added a shaky whimper sound after her breathing takes in the recording. And I love that detail so much, I added it in the animation. With Sonata's whole body trembling for a split second before dialogue starts, which is what you can see in the video. So it's little details like that that really make a difference. So, in some cases, as I was frequenting the animation, I felt like I needed extra shots to tell Sonata's changing mood as she reacted to what's happening. The shot of her reacting to the portal closing behind her was a shot I imagined directly in my mind, even if it wasn't in the initial storyboard script. And in any case, I really want to feel with Sonata, be in the moment with her. So getting these small moments are essential. So, body language, body language, body language. Body language is crucial, from arms and all. This is crucial for showing and not telling what Sonata is feeling. In this moment, for example, I wanted to communicate Sonata feeling suspicious about what's on the other side of the open door. When she doesn't immediately notice anyone and instead sees the rest of the control room, her expression changes from a more analytical one to more awe. here's another example of that. These series of shots, the crucial was when Sona's live reaction to the Mexican chamber. In this shot, we start with her visibly pondering the situation, body language, and all. After pondering, Sonata seems worried. I absolutely did not want inner monologue in this moment to break up the atmosphere. Like, could you imagine the shot, but we had like this anime, like, inner monologue going on?
I still don't know how I even got here, much less be in this form. But what do I even do? I suppose I could start going down that hallway. Maybe that could give me some answers. The baby, that's what never ends.
You see the echo filter, it's complete. But yes, like, I didn't want that. And, of course it's cheesy. And obviously I don't want her to talk too much to herself because even some points where emotions like Sonata, I feel like wouldn't speak everything that's within her mind. That's just not realistic. So what works better is her expression selling her feelings, and the audience can deduce her inner monologue from this expression alone. So yeah, another example here, she goes from worry to pondering, essentially. Yeah, it communicates the process of her thought. This was another moment in the animation that was hard to capture in a script. I think it's one of my best demonstrations of body language. In this, I wanted Sonata to express reluctance and hallway before forcing or convincing herself to do it. And it's done without a single word. So you can see it in her face, like, and she's like, how do I go in? Like, basically what inner monologue we were joking about, but it's all in her face. And you can't really capture that. Like, when I write scripts, I usually have scene descriptions, but this animation is especially hard to script because I can't just go off with like a written paragraph with like, oh, here's how it is. Sometimes I think of this right as I need to read this. Like, hey, I'm feeling like this shot is right. Like, may not be the most ideal way to work, but for environments of storytelling, one such as this one, I thought a lot of times improvisation or coming up with on the spot oftentimes works. Here's more body language examples. You can thank Hazel Shizzle, she's the VA for Aria, and she's one of our sound artists for helping me establish Sonata's body language. So Sonata instinctively closes her arms towards her body or puts her hand on her chest, reflecting her uneasiness and tension wandering down the strange hallway. Again, reflection of how she's feeling. Your brain subtly picks those up by observing her behavior. In this short, I'm going to show a very short animation. I wanted to sell each of the dozens personalities with short animations. You can draw conclusions about their vibes from how it plays out.
Your hatred is what I crave.
And the winner is Aria. And the winner is Sonata.
It's all about the small things that imply something. Also, thank you for the sound present through those responses.
I also would like to add, that's part of body language too, that what I also did for Vin is to help him establish, what this character was feeling. I offered to do some motion capture for him. So for both the Adagio and Sonata, I did the whole bow, and I did the Sonata thing where he does the Ojo Sama laugh, like that. So, and in the Aragon's project, when Sonata goes like, "I'm really gonna burst their bubble," I did that at them too. So because he was having trouble like how Sonata expresses anger, and I said, well, have her like clench her fist, maybe smack her fist on the table, and then so I demonstrated that.
Yeah, and I got quite a bit of that feedback, like not just from Shadow, people like Izzy, Sam, Minty, like whenever I would share the calls. Because like I'm still learning how to animate Sonata. Like she is a custom rig that, I was used to animating ponies, and so I kind of just am learning as I go, and sometimes it's good for other people to input body language. Isn't like, she has hands, but it's like, well, she floats, she doesn't have legs, so how does her body work with physics? I know Minty's feedback, especially with helpful during that first shot where she like rotates around, her hips are used as the weight. Those kind of details are crucial for that. So in conclusion, visual storytelling is crucial to good expressive animation. That's all for me.
Yes?
If I can interject just one thing that you didn't say that, but that's a very interesting thing you did in that video. It was the use of movement, and I don't mean the movement of the character, right? So there's this YouTuber called Every Frame a Painting who did a story on the use of movement by Akira Kurosawa, and I was thinking about it while I was watching the video because of the use of movement that you use in the background, the tape reels that are collecting in the background, the fact that you have a lot of lights flickering to produce motion in the actual light. I thought that was very, very interesting. You didn't mention that, so that's why I decided to first mention
Yeah,
that.
environment, thank you. Yeah, the environment is that too. That's part of environment artists teaching us things, as education is. Yeah, thanks for the input.
Only you, Zach.
That's it, y'all go.
Also, Super Smash Bros. is lame.
I'm sorry, I don't have a legend, but maybe enough people down here.
Additional display to decline.
Your light.
Trying to switch between monitors.
No.
Okay.
It says connect to visual. I can't see what it is.
It's up there, in your top corner seat.
Okay.
And fix that.
Very strong shoulder here.
Oh, yeah.
There's a French on the upper left hand, I'll
Top corner seat.
Upper left hand. Upper left. Upper left. Okay, there, click.
That one?
Yes. Oui. There you go.
All right. Anywho, back to this.
Sound design part 3, electric relay. Oh, yes. No, we're not going to be talking about that. We're not going to be talking about that. But before I tell you what we're going to be talking about, I got something to show you. But anyway, I'm Sapphire Stream. I usually talk about sound design, but I kind of said everything that I need to say, which is just actually do good sound design. So, this time I can actually call myself a animator. So, I've got a thing to show you, and then we're going to talk about that. So we need to.
Thank you, please.
Play with things. Please. Your antivirus is telling me that this is a virus, but it's not.
No, it's always
I'm trying to hijack my computer.
Hey, this is virus. I may not like how my app is full. Please take my computer.
Just wave into it, pretend it's a cartridge.
It's not a touch screen.
It's not a touch screen. I'm used to my little tablet thing.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for them to actually come up with touchscreen extension, but
Yeah.
they're taking their time.
I know it's plugged in, it's not showing up.
I've
type please in big font.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I mean, it should.
Let's try this. Oh, it thinks it's a network drive.
Weird.
Computers are weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, now something, I will warn, this is a little bit of a interesting, this is gonna have something to it, it's nothing bad for it, but it's a little strong, so emotionally strong. I want you to watch this and ask yourself, where can I do something like that? You're gonna notice that it starts out really crappy, and it gets really good. So I want you to ask yourself, where's my skill level, or where do I think I can do that? And we will get to that later. talking about is grease pencil, an animation alternative. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is grease pencil? Well, it's a pencil. It's grease. But there's more. It's 3D in Blender, which is free.
Blender is free.
Now, I know what you're going to say. Hold on, Seth. There's some of you, you're just stating the obvious nay while you're learning. There's some people that don't know what grease pencil is. So instead of getting into all the technical details, I'm going to show you what it is. So firstly, I'm going to look at camera tricks, 3D strokes, interpolation, modifiers, 3D models, rigging, and masking, and lighting. And some of you might know what some of that is, and some of you might not, and that's okay. Now I'm going to speed through this because I'm not teaching you how to do this. I'm just showing you that it exists, and that's an option. It's a free option, actually. So, camera tricks. As Minty has shown, the camera is probably the most advantageous feature in Blender compared to other free softwares. I don't even think there's another free animation software that has a full 3D camera. The ability to even just pan without having to move different elements is just pretty cool, but it does way more than that. So you can see here that this is panning, right? We just moved the camera down the character. I didn't have to draw every single frame like that. I just repeated those frames and moved the camera, right? You could do that. You could also get parallaxing effects, right? Stuff that you could do for other things, though this is a lot simpler. Instead of moving two drawings, I'm just moving the camera, and it just does its thing, right? But then you get stuff like this. Now this is fancy. So as you can see, the hooves are like a 2D part. We've got the wings on the side, and then of course the camera can turn to look at another part of 3D space where that character is. I'll go a little bit into how that was done here with 3D strokes. So, grease pencil is Flash on track. It is a vector system, right? Except for you draw it just like you would draw like any regular art with a tablet, right? But you can do it in 3D. Say for this shot here, that hallway is just 3D strokes that I painted, right? And it's not hard to really do that. I'll show you that later. Same here. This hallway shot, that's a 3D shot because I don't want to have to try and fix that perspective every other frame when the camera shakes, right? You don't have to worry about vanishing points or inconsistent proportioning with lines because of that. Here's well with the proper movement of depth, right? So for that shot, it's so close to her face and close to her hoop that I really needed those subtle movements in her face of like the nose being more forward and all that. So I literally made that. And all I had to do was push the camera forward and pull it back, and it looks so much more natural than a flat image. Here as well, we have even more advanced parallaxing effects because of the complex shape of the wings, which are curved drawings, right? And so we can get that nice movement as if those wings are wrapped around the characters. You can also, of course, have interpolation. Now, you probably already know what interpolation is. This is just where the computer automatically makes all the frames from one keyframe to another, right? You can do that in Flash. But you can do that here with grease pencil, like with that. However, I want you to notice how the wings kind of stutter out a little bit. In grease pencil, you can actually modify how it gets from one frame to another. It doesn't have to just be a line or smooth curve. You can very much customize that. You can also see how their different body parts are kind of moving in as they're dragged inwards. Then we have modifiers. This is special. Modifiers are things you can add to really any object, like say a subdivision, which will increase the amount of polygons on an object, make it look smoother. But we're not doing that. We're using it to make the wind in their names with just noise. I didn't want to animate all that crap. I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. So I just turned the character, made that one object, and then ran a noise modifier through it. The speed lines in the background, they're just lines drawn in the background with a noise modifier on it, controlling the position, the brightness or the strength and the thickness of it. Then of course, we have 3D models, right? As you can see here, this cloud scene, that is a full 3D scene. In fact, all of this is a full 3D scene, especially that part where they're falling where like it shows the clouds from their perspective, right? But it doesn't have to be super advanced. Like that's just like captured images of clouds being moved past light objects, so it looks like they're flashing in and out. Also for this scene, with that shit being blown apart, I didn't want to draw that. So instead, I made a model and did a physics simulation of it being blown apart, and then just put an outline modifier on it to draw the outline from the perspective of the camera. It made that so much easier. Then of course we have rigging, and meant to talk a little bit about this, but what? but Minty, how much do you pay per month for Jimmy and Harmony?
Like $20.
$20 a month?
I kind of grandfathered in this student discount.
Okay, so $20 a month is a student discount, so it's going to be more.
I know Blender is free.
This is free, okay?
How much does Blender cost?
Free. You can use dynamic skeletal meshes to smoothly move parts of an object, like this here. I really couldn't get this with interpolation, unfortunately. But as you can see, I've rigged different parts of the characters to bone, and it's really not that hard. It's a complex, it's a smooth yet complex movement that I really needed to have. This just wasn't going to work with interpolation, and I was not going to draw that frame by frame. Then, of course, we have masking and layer blending. Do any of y'all here do art, like digital art? So you probably know what masking and layer blending is, right? Well, it has masking and layer blending. For example, layer blending here. We just have a big blob of blue, right, that's sitting in front of the camera, in front of the characters, and so instead of me having to sit there and pick out all the different colors, and what would this color look like? Yeah, I should put it like a multiply, right, or like an overlay setting, and it works. It works for everything in the background, which is really fun.
So basically, just automatically adjusting
It's
their
automatically-
lighting they
yes.
want it?
Yeah, it's automatically adjusting everything behind that layer to multiply it by the color or overlay. We also, of course, have masking, like here with the eyes. I didn't want them poking out like that. So I used the eyelid layer to mask the iris. Also, yeah, shout out to Compute. She unfortunately couldn't be here, but that's with OC. That's Starman. That was the one in the advertisement also. She's showing up in the multiverse of pony creation scenes. And then, of course, we have lighting. Yes, lighting. Like this scene at the end of it, right? What would you be able to do with lighting? You can do a lot of stuff. Use your imagination, right? I wasn't able to do much because, well, they're all kind of black and white anyways, but you know, it is what it is. So, but wait, there's more. Now, I know what you're thinking, Saf, this sounds really hard and I don't want to spend the next 50 years learning how to draw in Blender. No, my dear Pony Pro. We're going to show you how that works. But first, I do want to show you that everything was done in Blender. This was not done like rendering one piece and compiling it in, you know, an external software. It was all done right there, as you can see. And it was just as simple as moving objects in and out from where the camera is, right? Because you have the ability to do all of that there. So, anywho, yeah. It all sounds super complicated. You don't even know where to start. I'll show you. But since this thing cannot run Blender, and I can't just do it here, I'm gonna have to talk to my past self. So let me just, all right, there we go. Okay, so we're just gonna draw a circle here, you know, a little muzzle, maybe some eyeballs, right? And I don't really like the shape of his head. So I'm gonna go into edit mode, and I'm gonna start moving around the various pieces, right? And we could squash them around. We could even change the thickness of the lines, which is really nice because sometimes I draw them way too small, right? And then you could even move individual parts, as you're gonna see here in a second. So move on. Yes, we know. All right, there we go. Show the muzzle and so yeah, we wanted to adjust their eyes or do some. Okay.
For 64 DS.
Poor guy. So you could also edit the color afterwards to whatever you want. You could, for the record, every single one of those parameters you can animate too. So if you wanted it to go caramel dancing style on you, you can. And then you could also, I mean, it's this shirt. Look, watch. Greedy, just pull it out. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, this guy, I hope he has health insurance, but anyway, yeah, it's that simple. It's not, you don't have to learn like a whole bunch of stuff. So, what is this good for? Well, animatics, storyboards. Oh my gosh, it's so fast to draw on this thing, seriously. And to be able to do like all the nice camera movement that you usually just have to fake in some ways with like lines and whatnot, you don't have to do that anymore because you can just do it right there. Full animation, obviously. Sketching, I don't know about that, and other stuff. So, now I know that was a lot of info.
Hey, you're going to be animators. You can nominate any world you want to.
Maybe this one too.
I don't know if I want to nominate this world. I'm scared.
Listen. I would make the world a better place by punching in the face all the people who say should have instead of should have.
All right. So I know this was a lot of info, but don't panic, my little horseman. I don't expect you to remember all that. I wasn't talking about this to teach you how to use it. I was just talking about this to show you that it is an option. So if you're going to take a picture now's the time to take it. I highly recommend you to take the donut tutorial. If you're going to use Blender, you need to familiarize yourself with the software. While it is easy to just go in there and start drawing stuff, the other stuff that I showed you, unless you want to spend 10 years going through submenus, is usually done through macro keys. And I know that sounds hard to learn, but do the donut tutorial. It's a couple of videos. It'll teach you how to do it. You can go back to it instead of having to bug me and ask me, hey, Saf, how do I copy a stroke? It's Shift-D, so remember that when you and so just do the donut tutorial. A friend of mine didn't do the donut tutorial, and they got really frustrated, and they got frustrated at me because I was helping them 24/7, and I was like, please, how would you do the donut tutorial? It makes the process so much easier. And then really, that's it. Just
Switch spaces.
Okay, let's take a break from all that complicated animation stuff. Let's talk about something cool, like writing, storytelling.
I know, right?
So as I said before, I'm Silver Screen, writer-director of the Fall of Vestria animated series. I have a minor in world film studies and creative writing major and all that stuff, so I'm qualified to talk about this stuff. I can, in fact, act as a projector screen.
And I am Shadow 007. I'm a voice actress, and I'm a writer, also the creator of the How It Should Have Ended series for My Little Pony. And if by chance you've seen an animation and happen to hear my voice, you are correct. I'm 95% of them. So get used to it. Anyway, next slide.
Today we're going to be talking about the anatomy of writing. This is something that Shadow came up with herself.
Yes, and what I like to bring up is, and I've seen a lot of this, not like just this fandom, but like in many stuff in general, like in fandoms and entertainment industry and all that, that people seem to forget that, oh, it's the visuals are great, it's cinematography, this and that, but at the end of the day, what really sells any work is the writing. So it's the themes, the subtext, the characters, and the world building. Theme representing the brain, the character representing the heart of the story, and the world building being the lungs. Next. So, characters are your heart of the story. And it represents the complexities, the development, and the relatability of your characters. And
really, the whole point of telling a story is to tell us about a character and a journey that they go through and what they learn. So if you don't have a character that we can relate to, that learns things as they go, that comes to a resolution at the end, then you don't really have a story. So stories are about characters and what we learn from them.
And so if you ever want to figure out, okay, well, how can I make my character be this entertaining or relatable or stand out? Well, I come up with this algorithm for you of care, because you can't really spell character without care. So, when you think of character, what usually comes to mind when you think of C? Anyone? No, just
Complexity.
That's one of them. That's one of the two. They're very close.
Characteristics.
Not quite, but it's still pretty close.
Creativity.
Not quite. It's charm. Charm, but everything you said is mostly correct. By charm, I mean that their personality. Is their personality? What can their personality make them stand out? Now, what can tell me what we do for A is appearance. By appearance, I mean like their body language. They can do like a silhouette test and a color theory, because what usually helps a character stand out is by silhouette test and color theory. Because colors represent their personality, it represents their motivation and goals, and all that. Now, R is for relatability. How is your character relatable to your audience? Can your audience find any connection to the character you're representing? And finally, for E is entertainment. Is your character entertaining enough to make your audience want more of that character? With all these in mind, with all that in mind, you gotta put a lot of time and investment in that, because if you as a writer are not gonna put any time and investment into your character, why should your audience, put any time and investment into caring about your characters?
So put the care in your character. So now we have some tips and cautions, things to be careful about when you approach making a character. So separate your characters by category and importance. Not every character in your story is going to have an equal importance to the story that you want to tell. Of course, you have your main character, which is your primary category of character. This is the main character, this is the person we're following in the story. Below that, we have our secondary characters, which are supporting characters. These are the characters who show up in the cast and interact with the main character. And maybe they even have their own side plot going on within the story. But so we also care about those characters and we're following along with them. But they are kind of secondary. And then we have our tertiary, our background characters, who may come into the story once now and then, but they're not really the focal point of the story. So they're mitigated to the tertiary. So when you're approaching character creation, most of your time you want to put into your primary, your main character, and then a little bit less time, but also equally important, your secondary characters, and then your background characters, you don't have to put a whole lot of time into them, into fleshing them out for the purpose of your story. So put your time in two categories.
Now, give your characters flaws, because flaws can also make your character relatable and have a connection to your audience. And then have your characters be unique from each other, not just by appearance, but it could be the way they move, it could be the way they talk. Look at the main six from My Little Pony, for example. All of them have unique personalities, and they all stand out in their own way. So next slide.
All right, so the next thing is themes. So this is the brain of your story. Theme is kind of an abstract concept for especially beginner writers to grasp. Really, but really what a theme is, it's like it's like setting out on a road trip. You need a map, you need a navigation of the route to know where you're going to go. That's what a theme is for a story. When you sit down and you start to plot out a story, what's going to happen, the plot, what conflict is going to happen, how are my characters going to deal with that conflict, and how is it going to be resolved. If you don't have a theme or a central concept that you want to your viewer, this is animation, to like come away with by the end of it, you're not really going to know where to even point the story, what the concept is going to be, or how it's going to be resolved.
Next one.
Yeah. So we can use My Little Pony as a example for theme. Obviously, the core theme of My Little Pony is friendship, and that's how every single conflict in every episode we're dealing with friendship problems. The conflict arises from the theme of friendship, and then it is eventually resolved to share a message about friendship. So every aspect of the show stems from its theme, and that's kind of how you should approach your own writing, is thinking about what theme do I want to express and to show in my story, and that will help to designate everything else that you come up with, every creative decision you make throughout making your animation.
Yes, so you can take like any theme, like it could be about forgiveness, it could be about love, like any theme that you want to tell. Basically ask yourself, okay, I have a story, and I've got a really important theme I want to tell about it. How should I tell it to my audience in a way that they can understand?
There are some, you should have some cautions when you go into any themes, like don't go overboard. I definitely run into this problem a lot with my own writing, is I want to have a ton of different complex ideas and themes that are intersecting with each other, and like some of the like most like masterpiece like movies that we see, like they all have like all these themes that are intersecting with each other, but if you try to do that, it's going to end up muddying the one central theme that you are actually trying to tackle. So when you approach a story, try to just start with one singular idea. Boil all of your thoughts down into one idea and work with that.
Like, what's more important is you want your audience to think, you don't want to confuse them, because a good story is worth telling or showing more than once, because a good story, you can come up with multiple interpretations, you can watch different perspectives. Someone could tell you, well, this is how you see it, but maybe this is how someone else saw it. So a good story, if a good story makes you think, and it makes you come back to it more than once, as a writer, you are doing it right. And pick like one idea or just two, if that, because like you can think of the typical cliche of like the hero's journey, good versus evil. You think, oh, that's too cliche, can't do that. But while there are no cliche themes, only cliche stories, you can use these particular cliches and tropes as a base of your story, so long as you put a different spin on it. It's like a new coat of paint can be art, so long as you have your own spin to it.
Exactly.
Next.
And then also be careful not to be too abstract with your theme. If you have like some like crazy abstract idea, it's not going to come off very well. It's going to be really confusing for the audience to pick up. So pick a very concrete idea: friendship, love, coming of age. Those are very concrete ideas that you can explore throughout your story. And as you become better at writing through practice and stuff, then you can start to tackle like more abstract.
I'm a little confused because by definition all themes are abstract. What's an example of an abstract theme?
Abstract,
like not love, like that's pretty abstract. Like what is an abstract theme?
Take an idea of like love and they try and make it like a little bit more grandiose and all that. Like it's kind of like telling it more than once, and you kind of like start like with the basics of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly, you want to keep it like focused.
Yeah. Okay. I think what I meant to say is have a very general concept for a theme, rather than trying to get too specific.
Basically, use like the core idea of that abstract concept instead of being like going in a diversion to a very specific example that would be inside another thing.
Don't make it too out there. Just keep it general. Keep it KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
But I also add, like, it doesn't matter what you're going to use. It depends on like how you present them.
Right. Yeah.
Next.
All right. Now we're talking about world building.
Now, world building is the setting of the story, where it takes place, time period, and it shows the mechanics of the society your characters live in. It serves as an expansion to the character's journey and reflections to the themes of the story you're about to tell. And world building serves as the foundation, while the lore is the decor and flavor. And we'll explain that as we move further along.
So again, we can use MLP as an example for what good world building looks like. So the world follows its own physical rules. Basically, with world building, it's difficult to, if you have a completely new kind of like type of world that you're trying to explain to people, it's important to lay down like ground rules of how that world operates, but don't let that become what your story is about. Because your story isn't about the world that is taking place, it's about the characters who inhabit the world. So the world should be a reflection of those characters and of the story that they're about to go through. And that kind of leads us into our cautions with world building.
Now, I've seen a lot of this, and not just in this fandom, but I've seen in multiple fandoms that, oh, we gotta focus on the world building and the lore and backstory. No. What many people tend to forget is it's good stories and characters that make good lore, not the other way around. So, treat lore as if putting cinnamon on toast. You put a little bit of cinnamon on toast, tastes good, right? If you put too much cinnamon on it, it's gonna burn your tongue. So too much lore, too much world building, it's gonna bloat your story. Too much lore and world building is very, in my opinion, very distracting because lore is in the past. Like unless it affects the characters and in the present story, keep the lore what it is in the past, in the background, where it belongs.
You don't have to explain the entirety of how your world operates at the very beginning. You can spread it out over the course of your story. Take My Little Pony, for example, the first episode. They didn't tell us that Star Swirl created the tree that created the elements that then, now the characters are the elements. No, they started with the very basics. And then as the show goes on, then we start to learn more about the world and the history and the lore and stuff like that. But the story and the characters came first.
And I want you to really think about this. If you really want to know where things come from, how things the way they are, or how they is, it wouldn't be that very engaging or entertaining now, would it? It's like trying to explain how the Force works in Star Wars. And guess what? You know how it works. And guess how it turned out. Very disappointing. If lore or magic has to be explained through every minute detail, it ruins the immersion. It breaks the immersion, and it's not going to be engaging. Because what's more entertaining? Something we can understand, or things be left mysterious, hooking you in for more. And one thing we also want to add is structure your story in chapters, episodes, and arcs. Keep it on its own thing. If you try to put too much all together, it's going to be very cluttered, it's going to be very bloated. So separate them. Make it their own chapter, their own arc. Just make it their own way.
Could it also help? Sorry, if I can ask a question. If you were to do all that type of stuff, it's could it also make it seem like it would be very rushed? Or something like that, the story, with how you said, it was all cluttered, did it make it seem like it's all,
yes.
rushed and everything?
Yes. If you try to put everything all at once, it's going to make your characters less developed, it's going to rush your story along, you want to pace yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said earlier about theme, don't lose sight of your theme. Think about the story that you want to tell and how you want to tell that, and just really focus in on that. Don't get too bogged down in the weeds of world building and lore and telling your people. Because if your viewer isn't interested in the characters and the story that you're telling, they're not going to care about the world building and the lore.
And also, I know many first-time writers are oh, I gotta put this in, oh, I gotta put that in. As a writer, don't be afraid to kill your darlings. And what I mean by that is, I know, it sucks you want to put it in there, but that can be saved for a later chapter or later arc, that's fine. Or if you need to scrap it, again, that's fine too. Maybe you can take that scrap idea and make it to another original story. So, any idea that you want to scrap, don't just throw it away entirely. Keep it for future work, because you never know, it could be told one day.
So that was a lot of information. What do you want me to get out of this? So remember to put the care in your characters.
Themes, subtext, symbolism is the central idea of the story, and world building is the foundation, not the lore.
Yeah. All right.
And now we're on to the voice acting portion. No, I got this. So, hi again.
Borrow my water.
So yes, you already know who I am at this point, so you can just resume it. So what I'll be talking about is voice acting. Now, voice acting, to put it simple, is the art of performing a character or characters to an audience with one's voice. Now, it's not to be confused with doing a voice impression of somebody, like a celebrity or anything like that, because there's a difference between acting a character and then just doing a party trick. And one of the big misconceptions about voice acting is, oh, I can do this voice or I can do this impression. Oh, that's great and all, but can you act? And it's about the acting, not the voice. So next. Now, you're thinking, oh, so I want to hire a voice actor on my team, in my project. How do I contact them? Well, there are multiple ways you can do that. You can send them a DM on their social media. You can do it on Twixter, I call it Twixter, Blue Sky, and then there's two voice acting audition sites called Casting Call Club, very free to use, very flexible, and the voice acting board. It's a forum site, and what's really cool about both Casting Call Club and voice acting boards, they're organized depending on how you want your project. Like it can be organized with paid project, unpaid project, original work, fan work. So if you're working on a project, you need a VA, you can find right there. And if you also want to bring in voice actors and you try to promote your audition and project on social media, type in hashtag casting call, hashtag voice acting. You will get voice actors in droves, because as someone who's used Twitter for voice acting and scouting for projects, it really has worked in my favor. I've actually been in a lot of projects because of that system. So next. You can also use the ponyvoiceindex.com, and how that works is, since there is a whole community of voice actors in the My Little Pony, how that works is a voice actor can fill out their information about their top impressions, their decent impressions, and their impressions that are not so great. And what's really cool is you have their contact information and their rates on board too. So they're either paid, limited, free, or unpaid overall, and everything. They can also tell you if they're good at any accents. So if you're ever looking for original work, you can do that too. And next. Now, how the audition process works is, so you want to hire a voice actor, and you say, okay, I want you to audition for this particular character. Give a description of the character of who you want your actor to audition for. Give them a picture or a reference. That way it's like, okay, so this is the character you're voicing. Give them a brief detail about their personality, a little bit of backstory, and all that. And if you want a vocal reference, like for example, okay, I want, like, this particular character is inspired by this one from this particular movie or show. So there's that. Technical preferences. What you want to look for in voice actors is you want good audio quality. So microphone, you got your USB mics. I recommend Blue Yeti, which is very good. You got your XLR microphone, which is a microphone that's connected to an audio interface, and that audio interface is connected to a computer. So USB, XLR, very good choices, so long as your space is treated and with a pop filter, very important. Audio format, yes?
What do you mean by treated, like padded?
Yes. Yeah, you treat your audio space like with like acoustic foaming and all that, because an untreated space, an untreated recording space, your voice can reverberate, there's background noise. Like you really want, because a lot of people think, oh, if I get this really expensive microphone, I'll sound great, right?
And you hear all of your neighbor's television sets, like, you know, the
And to add on to that, as someone who has to deal with all of the vocals, there's no fixing that. So treat your space. If you have to put a blanket over your head to block out all the noise, do it.
Yes. Yes.
Other than having a complete thing of crap lines that you have to redo.
Because even the most professional voice actors will tell you it's not about the microphone, it's about how you treat your recording space. Yeah, sure, a good microphone can be good, but treat your space because that's what good audio quality is. Now, audio formats. Most common is .mp3. I really don't recommend that because .mp3 really compresses your audio, but unless the director says so, don't use MP3. .wave is more accessible, it's more easier, and it's much more easier on your vocals. And .ogg, it's very similar to .mp3, but it doesn't really compress your audio as much, so .ogg is, in my opinion, a much better alternative to .mp3. What it does is, much like MP3, it separates your audio from like a particular folder, so it's kind of like that. Then you have your audio software. You've got your Audacity, free to use, and you've got Reaper, a little bit on the expensive side, but...
It's not, it's $60. That's not expensive compared to FL Studio, which is $900.
Even so. And next. Now, how to work with voice actors. Provide your voice actors with a script. Now, voice actors, and I see this a lot, because I made that mistake in the past, voice actors need to read the entire thing. Don't just read the scene they appear in, because if they just read the scene they appear in, they're going to miss a lot of important details, they're going to miss the context, they're not going to get the right emotion delivery in and all that. So if you're a voice actor, please, I beg you, read the entire script. Yes?
Actually, I got a question in regards to that. Like, okay, so like if a voice actor doesn't exactly get like the whole entire script and everything, like, does that explain a majority of reasons how you can have like a really good voice actor, but like sometimes their delivery sounds like super off in sometimes?
And that's why next thing to do is any project director, get into a call with the voice director, because that way you know, okay, can you sound a little bit more like this? Because if you let a voice actor just do it on their own, I mean, you can, but the director will be like, yeah, can you do that again? Just get in a call with them. It is much easier, just get in a Discord call with them. It'll take like 15 minutes at minimum, like half an hour at most. And it is a lot easier, just get in a call with them and do the reading there. And that way, also, if you're a voice actor and the director's with you, the voice actor can go, yeah, I'm not sure if this line sounds really good. Can we change it to this? And that's another thing too. Voice actors and directors can compromise on how a certain line can be said, depending on the story.
I think my favorite voice direction I ever gave one of my voice actors in a production was, tell this filly to go play in the traffic.
So in conclusion, voice acting is about performance, not the voice. Voice acting is all about quality in your sound, and voice acting, much like animation, writing, all that is an art. And remember, pay your artists. Period.
So that is all, and I think we have like, what, 10 minutes, so Q&A, I guess. If anyone has questions, we'll try to get answers.
Yes?
Like, how exactly do you, when you're voice acting, how do you fine tune your voice to try to get it as close to the character that you're trying to get to?
What I would do first, I would do, before attempting to do a character, do some vocal warm-ups. Do vocal warm-ups, you would hear do tongue twisters, do your scale, I know it's music related, but do your scales too, because it'll help practice using your diaphragm too. And what I usually do is, if this character you're voicing is a recurring character you've voiced in the past, you can check out your previous work you've done. It's like, okay, so that's how I sound like. Okay, good. Listen to previous auto recordings, maybe listen to previous other stuff, and all that too. And yes.
And like, what if you're trying to do like another person's character, like how you do like Celestia, Twilight, you know, stuff like that? How do you get your voice close to that character as possible?
What I would do is I would like pick out like any particular scene from a scene from a show or a piece of media you're trying to study the voice, and like kind of like parrot what they said. Like, okay, the character I'm trying to emulate is saying this. I need to say it in that certain enunciation, that certain pitch, say it back. Like, it's kind of like, you know, hearing echo. Like, whatever, however they say it, try to emulate that voice. Like, try and say it back.
If I may add on top of that, usually another thing you can do is often is usually whenever you have a certain character that you voice a lot, you can always, they often have a callback line that you can always go to, because that usually is the best way to get into their voice, especially for me and for other VAs. Like, I watched a video from Richard Horvitz, and he always has like a callback line to all of his characters that he voices. Like for Zim, it was
Yeah, I think Brittany Ackerman, I listened through those sound files for
she does that.
Yeah, she does. She's like, muffins.
It's pretty funny because she goes from that, and then she has to give some very, very sad lines.
Yes.
You mentioned about the story, cutting the story up into like an arc,
yes.
A season, and like an episode.
Uh-huh.
How would you kind of go about that? Is that kind of like creating a 3-act structure for the whole thing?
Yes, like just like that, like a 3-act structure.
And if you think of like if you have a number of episodes and say like a season, I don't know, like a category, each of those episodes follows, like you take one episode and that follows a 3-act structure of exposition, rising action, climax, resolution. Every episode follows that structure. But then you want to also structure your whole arc in your season the same way. So if you have like a storyline happening like throughout the entire season, that storyline is also being introduced in the first couple episodes. It's starting to, the stakes are rising throughout the next couple episodes. You reach a climax and it has a resolution, and that's how you kind of structure. Like I said in the slide, every story is a series of beginnings and endings. You just interlock those together to create your arcs and your seasons. So.
Yes?
Is it recommended to have like a degree of some sorts before you start voice acting or acting of some sorts?
Not really, no. And I heard this from a VA that most people in the voice acting industry, they don't pursue to be voice actors. They pursue their career to be actors. So, and I heard, and like when you try to ask any voice actor, oh, how do I become a voice actor? How do I get this? And honestly, there are multiple ways. There's no really definitive answer. And in my personal opinion, what works for me and what works for many other voice actors is to make stuff of your own and put it on their display. Because like if you showcase your voice work, you can get like other people like to network and connect with. And if you really want to take your acting much further, do community theater, take acting classes, go to school that has like performing theater. Like you can do that. Like there are so many ways that one can be a voice actor. There's just no definitive one. But again, what I feel what works best for me and many other people that are in the industry is to put stuff up there on your own. Like make your own work, put it on display, and just keep practicing.
Actually, to add on to that a little bit, on the idea of getting degrees for art stuff, I mean, you can. It can help sometimes, but many times it's a scam. Because they're just teaching you how to use a piece of software that you won't be able to afford anyways. So,
well, good to go sailing.
I mean,
Yeah.
Full sail is so expensive.
Yeah,
No,
like,
just that kind of sailing.
I think the same about voice acting comes too. Like, do be careful when trying to get into a voice acting class or hire a voice coach, because if their credentials seem very skeptical, do some background research when signing up for a class or getting a voice coach, because there are some out there that might take advantage of you. So if you're trying to like if you're trying to pursue any degree or get any like additional help, like I would do a background check first on that particular thing you're trying to do, and then just go from there.
Yeah, and just know that when you approach a studio as someone who runs a studio, I do not care about what piece of paper you got. It's meaningless to me. I care about what you can do, and I want to see a portfolio that proves that you can do what you say.
Yes?
I just kind of wanted to add on to what y'all were already talking about, but as someone who did high school theater, college theater, and then a little bit of professional theater in my early 20s, I didn't expect to get into voice acting, but it got to the point I would do impressions of characters with friends, and they were like, have you thought about doing that?
Yes.
And then eventually I started doing my own stuff. It was a little amateur, mediocre, but practice makes perfect. You need to like be consistent and just like keep trying. Analyze your stuff like crazy, and it helps to, and when I say that this helps, like the theater thing helps specifically because you are moving your body, you are actually like character acting, and you are getting into character more if you're moving around. So get up when you're recording, move around, move your hands.
Yes.
Really get into the mind of the character, and then just like watch your stuff and be like, okay, well here's where I was weak, here's where I could improve on that.
Yes.
And that's something that helped me grow since I've started doing it over the years. But yeah, definitely join a local theater. Audition for something if you've got the free time. It will make a world of difference between whether you, because you're gonna get feedback from directors, from professionals, and people who know what they're doing. And that's, as long as you're open to criticism, you can become great just by that alone. But
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah, and also another thing about voice actors, like, I see like a lot of entry level voice actors, like a little bit novice, like who are starting out but don't really know the full aspects. Oh, how'd you get to work with this person? How'd you get to work with them? Blah blah. And you hear people say, oh, it's about who you know or what you know. And while that is true, there's one key detail that, in my personal opinion, is what most important. And I heard this from a really great voice actor known as Spike Spencer, who you don't know was the original voice of Shinji from Evangelion. And he said this: it's not just who you know. It's not even just what you know. It's who knows you when you aren't in the room. And what he means by that is, if you want to work with people who you idolize, if you want to get into the industry, if you want to get more projects, you have to be polite. Don't be a jerk behind the scenes. Like, don't be shady. Just be professional. Like, be someone who you want people to work with. Be approachable, be friendly, be kind. Like, yeah, there are some, you can be professional and formal, but at the same time, just don't be a jerk in the industry, is what I'm saying. Yes?
For you animators who have a primary channel of your own, but also do work on other individuals' channels, work for others, is there a major gear shift in your brain whenever you are doing projects for your own sort of channel versus when you are working under someone else's direction?
Absolutely. One of the things whenever you do something for your own, you're going to go with the thought process. You're going to ask yourself, how would I approach this job? And if you have to work for someone else, you have to consider what would be the vision that someone else has? Like, you have to read their mind, and you have to figure out what's the best way to approach their vision. Because you don't want to be precious about someone else's project in a way that you try to hijack it. I remember working in a mini-series for someone, and I kept having to remind myself, like, this is his project. Like, you can try to put your cool stuff in it if he wants it, but this is his project, this is his vision. You have to follow his vision accordingly. And if you have something to suggest, you can push it through. Because otherwise you're going to have a clash of visions. We've had projects where the visions of different people would just collapse entirely, and I was talking with someone for a project, and he kept telling me that my shotgun position just didn't work. The whole idea was that it was supposed to be sequences of Luna walking around the castle alone. And the best way to show that she's alone is a very wide shot with no one here. And he kept telling me, like, no, please be close up, like, put the camera really close to her. And I kept thinking, like, that's defeating the point. And we kept fighting over it, and we lost our time fighting over it instead of actually getting it done.
I ask a lot of questions, like whenever I collab with Prince, whatever. I send him a lot of like work in progress stuff. I'm like, all right, you want me to ship these 2 ponies, but there's these 2 ponies in the background. Do you want like, do you actually want Celestia Moon to kiss? Or like what? He's like, oh bloody, I don't know. I'm trying this ship over this ship. Can you add these in the back? I'm like, okay, so just ask a lot of questions, a lot of work in progress stuff. Give it to them because you don't want to like, hand it a finished thing. They think's finished. They're like, oh, change this. The less work you have to do, the better. When you want to give it to someone else. Basically.
Yeah, it's crucial that you communicate those things effectively if you're working with a team, because people can't see what you see in your brain. And as I was explaining through my presentation, it's hard to describe a shot with just text. It can be an outline, but that's why like storyboards are important. Storyboards are intentionally like, this is where I want the camera, this is where I want the character, this is what I want highlighted. Like, it's a whole process to communicate to other people, like, what do you want exactly from me? When I worked at a game studio, we would often be handed down like concept art. It's very crucial because like you could tell me to build a sled, but what color do you want it? How aged is it? Are there any scratch marks? Or is this sort of visual storytelling? Like, text can only go so far, so it's really important that you keep that in mind. Like as a director, it's effective to communicate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't be afraid to learn, right? I was really, really bad at communicating stuff in text, so I would open up MS Paint and draw stupid little stick figures to show where I wanted stuff. But then I learned how to do it better over time. So just don't realize that you're not perfect. You're not going to start perfect. You're going to start from somewhere, and that's okay.
Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, with people who you work with, let's say, okay, how do you want this done again? Or like, hey, I might need some help with this one. Do you think we can work together on this? Like just ask questions and then they can help you.
Yeah.